Our syllabus talks about business integration models. So in preparing for a question on business structures, one of the items that you can prepare for on business structures is the business integration models. So let's talk about business integration models. What are these models and how do they help us? So you see, for us to achieve our objectives in our businesses, we need an efficient business structure. We need an effective business structure. We need to realign our businesses so that we focus on our objectives. So what does the expression in business integration refer to? All aspects of a business must be aligned to secure the most efficient use of the organization resources to achieve its objectives effectively and create value. So we need to realign all aspects of our business. Now, how do we do so? Well, we use a model such as the 7S model, this model here. This model helps us to identify specific components for an organization. And these include one, we've got the structure itself. We've got the strategy, the roadmap of where we are going. We have got skills, we've got staff, we've got management style, and we've got systems. And the first three are defined as are described as hard aspects, hard variables. Down here, we've got the soft aspects. So this model says that every organization has got these components and need to realign them. The 7S's, all these, need to be aligned for an organization to be effective. Organizations can use the model to help assess whether or not this is the case. If the elements are not properly aligned, an organization also needs to assess which of the 7S need to change and how they need to change in order to improve performance. To give an example, we need people. These people should have the right skills. There must be an appropriate management style to combine all these elements. We must have a structure, reporting lines. We need to have a roadmap for the future. And we need the system so that we are orderly. All these must be glued together by shared values or a strong culture. Or a strong culture. So we need to ensure that we have got people with the right skills. If we don't have, let's bring in some of those people. Or let's train them ourselves, let's sponsor them. We need an appropriate management style, which can be acquired through coaching, mentoring, training. So in every organization, if we're going to work well, we need to identify these variables and ensure that they are properly aligned. So that is the aspect of this business integration model. Let's pick another one. The one which is more common in our exam is a value chain. The value chain. So what does the value chain say? What does the value chain model say? The emphasis is on value creation. Customers are willing to pay a margin. What does this margin represent? This margin represents the amount of value you have created. So customers, instead of preparing a meal of chicken in their own homes, instead of preparing this meal in their own homes, they prefer to go where and buy the same at a higher price than what they would spend if they prepared themselves. The question is, why are customers willing to go to KFC for a meal and pay much more than they would spend at their own home? Well, it's because KFC has created some value. There's some value creation, value that you have brought, and that's what you're paying for. So the question then is, how can we create value? So we need a business integration model which emphasizes on value creation by organizations. We need a model which shows us how and where is value created in our organizations. So every organization that you work in, you can create value by rearranging your activities properly, by realigning your activities. In other words, you need to identify the value chain within your organization. So what is the value chain? It's a sequence of activities by which value from the customer's perspective is added to an organization's products or service. So it's important to know that the model is saying the value is from the customer's perspective, because customers are the ones who pay for this value. So this sequence of activities is what we mean by value. Let's go. The value chain is here. In every organization, for you to create value, there's going to be inbound logistics. The inbound logistics refers to the activity which is responsible for bringing together all the inputs. So all the inputs to the process must be in place. So there must be somebody or an activity which is purely responsible for bringing the inputs together. And these inputs must be in place at the right time. They must be in place at the right time. The right amounts, right quantity, right quality. So everything must be in place. Only then can operations go on well. Operations now is the process of converting all these inputs into a product. And once the product is ready, there must be another activity, outbound logistics, to ensure that there's proper handling of the output, warehousing, packaging, and delivery to customers. For these products to find themselves in the hands of the rightful customers, we need to tell the customers that the products are ready. We need to market these products. We need to interact with the customers. We need to interact with the customers. You don't abandon your customers after they have bought your product. You need some service or some support. The support is very important. So these are what you call the primary activities. This is where primarily value is created so that the customers are even willing to pay for this value. So for the customers to pay or to create value, these are the primary activities that help us do so. However, the primary activities cannot work on their own. We need also the support activities here. These include procurement. These inputs that we're talking about, who procured them? Must be a procurement function. We need technology development, the people who are doing the planning, the designs, all these things that we're talking about, they must be planned, they must be designed. Human resource management is very important. So we need somebody who's going to bring in the human resource. Then there's now the firm infrastructure. This is now where us as accountants we fit in. Accountants, that's where we fit in. Accountants, that's where we fit in. So this is a series of activities that lead to value creation. So the question is, do you have these in your organization? Are they adequate? Now, when we see this expression here, performance management, that's an important expression for us. So what does this mean? What's the implication for performance management? Value chain helps to identify the key areas which create value for customers or critical success factors. This thinking helps you to identify the key areas of a business, and we have seen that the key areas of business primarily are what we see here. Organizations need to measure its performance in these areas. So if we are going to perform well, we must have performance measures here. How are we doing here? In order to achieve competitive advantage, an organization needs to perform key activities more cheaply or better than its competitors. So what makes one organization to be ahead of another? What makes one organization to be ahead of another is how they perform in these areas. If we can perform these activities cheaply, then we can beat our competitors. Or if we can perform them better in a much smarter way, then you're saying this can put you ahead of the competitor. So you keep on monitoring this through benchmarking. Keep on benchmarking yourselves in these areas and try to see how others are performing. To be successful, an organization needs to ensure that the characteristics of all its activities are consistent with each other. A firm gains competitive advantage by either performing strategically important activities more cheaply than competitors, as cost leadership, or better differentiation. So this will help us now to bring in strategies. So an organization now, after identifying a value chain, they can now come up with how can we perform better? What strategy are we going to use? So there's cost leadership. So you can apply cost leadership where you want to be the lowest cost producer. Or you want to operate at the lowest cost. Or you can try to employ differentiation in those areas. So this is your value chain. We need to understand the effect. So impact is that it helps us to identify areas of critical success factors. And these areas on which we must develop our KPIs. So these are yes, please.
Can you please just to help me understand an example or an illustration regarding that area where you can link the critical success factors and the measures, just an example.
Critical success factors and the measures. Okay, fine. Let us take an example of the after sales support, like the support. Okay. This is critical in your business. Now, what sort of support? For instance, after you buy a product, after you buy machinery, you need, you may want to help your customers with a service plan. Many organizations today, you find that there's after sales support after buy a product from them. For instance, they may send their technicians in the field to their customers to check how they are doing. So the customer visitations. So we can have a report of the customer visitations per each customer. So let's say we promise that within 6 months of buying, we must actually visit each customer twice. So I've got all my customers and I want to check, have I done all the visitations? So the number of visitations, an indication of how well I'm doing in the critical success factor called the after sales support. So then I can check that, look, all the 100 customers, I've done my check, my visitations, all my technicians have been there. If I haven't, then I know that that's dangerous, because imagine if what made me different, what differentiated me was the fact that my after sales support is very good. It's so reliable. Now, if I'm not doing it, what happens? So I want to check if I promised 5 visits, have I done all of them? So I can have a report to indicate how many visitations have I done. So that's an example there. Good. This issue of critical success factors, it's not only relating to value chain. In many other aspects, it can help us. We're going to see this again when we discuss about 5 models, the SWOT analysis, Porter's 5 forces. We're going to see how those models also can help you come up with a critical success factor, and also subsequently a KPI for that critical success factor. So this issue of models helping us develop to identify critical success factors is not only limited to value chain. It can also be applied to many other models, Potter-Five forces, best, SWOT analysis, and all those, as you subsequently see. Let us look at another model, a model which can help us to rearrange our activities so that we are more efficient. This model is what we have here, business process reengineering. So what we have seen on our examiner is that when it comes to business structures, he may decide to give us a business integration model, or he may ask us to equation business process reengineering, BPR. Now, what is BPR? What is BPR? A number of you or a number of us have benefited from BPR. Some of the products and services that we are using are a direct product of BPR. Let us look at the definition and then we can give examples of some of the services that actually have been a product of BPR exercises. The fundamental rethinking. The fundamental rethinking. And radical redesign of business processes. So this is where we say we cannot accept status quo. We must go back and check again. That's a thought of rethinking. And radical redesign. Radical means complete change. We're talking about transformation change of the business processes. But why do you do that? It's not out of fun, no. Because you want to achieve what? Big improvements. In critical contemporary measures, what are these measures? Cost. You want to reduce the cost. We want to improve on the quality. We want better service. And also want speed. So these are 4 areas. These are 4 areas or KPIs in which you want to see improvement. So after BPR, we expect that all these would improve. The examples I normally give are, look at the ATM technology. Traditionally, the function of disbursing money to customers, it was purely performed by individuals. Many people, after they left the school, matric or grade 12 as we call it here, many years back, people do work as the retailers in the banks or bank tellers. They were bank tellers. Many people were. That was quite a common job. And by and large, their duty was to disperse money to people. But what happened to that process? You can see that there was fundamental rethinking and radical redesign of that process to achieve dramatic improvements in cost, quality, service, and speed. Do you agree that the ATM technology brought drastic improvements in these areas? Do you agree? That the ATM technology has made a big difference?
It does.
What about telephone banking? Telephone banking and internet banking. What do you think about this? What is happening? Telephone banking and internet banking, these really are a big shift in the way we do things. Because now things can happen very quickly. The service is very good. You don't have those days. Remember, you used to go to the bank to go and pick a statement, isn't it? You drive all the way to the bank, pick a statement. But now, wherever you are, just check on your phone. It used to take long for you to know that somebody has debited something to account. But now, any debit, if you're in telephone banking, it will immediately show. And you can ask for an immediate reversal. So then what are some of the features of BPR? What results from BPR? What results from BPR? Here are some of the features of BPR. Processes should be designed to achieve a desired customer-focused outcome. When you go to the bank, what is the expected outcome? What are you looking for? It's the money. One get our money, that's the outcome. Whether that money is going to be dispersed by a machine, by a computer, but the fact is, the focus is, can we make sure that we get our money to go and spend? Personnel who use output from a process should perform the process. Like nowadays, when you go on the ATM, what happens? You sue yourself. Who does the keying in and everything, and the money comes out. With the use of the computers nowadays, senior people are able to type their own things. Gone are the days when you ask somebody to type something for you. That's what we have seen. Don't need to ask anyone to type. You type yourself. You yourself who's going to use the output, you're the one who gets involved. So the issue of mistakes has been reduced so much. You can correct yourself the mistake as opposed to somebody else doing it for you. There is no differentiation between information gathering and information processing. These things are taking place at the same time now. These things are real time. Geographically dispersed resources should be treated as if they were centralized. That's true. We don't even know that the people who are serving us actually, they are in different geographical regions. We don't see it. When you come to your screen, as you are concerned, everybody is just behind there doing everything for you. Parallel activities should be linked, not integrated, because when you try to integrate them, you are going to increase the time. So we want immediate, quick interaction. Otherwise, if you try to integrate them, then it may take a bit of time. So things can be happening at the same time. Yeah. There's no distinction between workers and managers. That's what happens. After BPR, for you to get a quick service, that distinction is removed. Information should only be captured once. That's what happens now, isn't it? Information is really captured only once.
What is an example of parallel activity?
What are the examples of activities that are happening at the same time? What are the examples of activities that are happening at the same time? Anyone who can think about an example of activities that are happening at the same time? In your production activities or sales activities or even in accounts? Are there things that are happening at the same time? Where there's just collaboration Okay, how about
in accounting, probably when you're invoicing and also the account of that person is updated or a report is also produced.
Okay, that's one example there. That's one example there. Any other example? Those who are coming from production or manufacturing processes. Okay, I'll come up with a good real life example. Let me take one or two real life examples of activities, probably in manufacturing process or in the logistics environment where things are happening at the same time. I'll pull out one example for you, but in the logistics setup, a real life example, so that we can check it out. Okay, let me pull out a real life example for you. Okay, so these are principles of BPR, and out of BPR, really expect the better improvement. We expect that costs will have reduced and that the items, the waiting is reduced and things are taking place much, much faster. Lastly, so we have seen 3 examinable items, a BPR, that is one. Secondly, a value chain or Marquis 7S model. Let's conclude by talking about the complex business structures. Yes, our examiner is interested in the fact that business structures are ever changing. We are moving away from the traditional structures. The traditional structures are giving way to new type of structures or working arrangements. So these working arrangements are quite plenty. Yeah, those of you who have done HR, you notice that in organization structures, there's different types of structures now, including things such as outsourcing, yeah, team working and all those. But the syllabus cannot cover all those. So what you do is you have got specific ones that have been chosen, the specific ones that have been chosen. So let's just look at those that are relevant to this particular exam. Let's look at those that are relevant to this particular exam. So for this exam, the examples that we have of non-traditional activities include the joint ventures, the strategic alliances, the multinationals, and the virtual organizations. So a joint venture is a working arrangement which can help us achieve our objectives. Sometimes even much better. And there's a reason why we may choose a joint venture. So in the traditional setup, an organization has got a proper structure. An organization basically works on its own. You've got you are complete. But we are saying the modern way of working is not really to be alone. You may want to try a joint venture for different reasons. For instance, in some countries, it's a must that if you're going to be in there, you need a joint venture with the local people. But sometimes maybe your own initiative, you realize that the risks are too much. The capital requirements are too much. The effort is too much. So what do? You find a partner whom to carry out that particular project. The only issue is how can we achieve our objectives in the joint venture? In other words, what are some of the possible performance management issues? One, maybe you've got different goals. So how are you going to realign your goals? There's the issue of coordination and control. How are we going to coordinate? How do we ensure that there's smooth coordination so that we are moving at the same pace? How do we effect control? Who is going to be responsible? If it's the organization alone, the organization structure is enough. And you have enough mechanism for controlling and correcting everything. But in the joint venture, you need to properly discuss. What of sharing information? To what extent are you going to share information? Because there's this issue of intellectual property as well. Now, if we don't deal with this properly, they may affect the achievement of your objectives. You may even slow down in your work. The trust is very, very important. So how do you establish the trust? So these are some of the issues that you need to think about upfront. We go to what of in a strategic alliance? Joint ventures like around here, you know that joint ventures are much more permanent, isn't it? Yeah, we've got some institutions around here which are basically joint venture, sometimes between two governments, and that's the way it's run. In a strategic alliance, these are much shorter term or loose arrangements to work together to achieve a particular purpose, after which we get back to our original position. So we just come in to contribute resources so that we achieve a given goal. So if a number of people collaborate, come together, the success depends on communication and collaboration rather than formal goals and objectives. Number of stakeholder organizations contribute to success. You cannot do it alone. You have seen it around here in the political arenas, sports arenas, where you quickly come up with an alliance to achieve an objective. You cannot do it alone. No. You need all the participating organizations. So how do you make sure that there is unity amongst all these? So that is a challenge that you have in strategic alliance. So for some projects, you may want to come up with a consortium of participants so that you can quickly deliver a project and then you go back to original positions. If you're a multinational, you have got a lot of challenges. If you're a multinational, you've got special challenges, including performance measurement issues from comparing subsidiaries in different countries. You need to establish realistic standards, and these standards must reflect local conditions. How do you do that? You cannot have the same standards across all the subsidiaries in different parts of the world. From the responsibility accounting point of view, there's this issue. Establishing controllable cash flows and profits. Establishing controllable. So we need to find out who controls what. Maybe things are controlled from the head office. So we need to be very clear about it. Which cash flows are controllable by the subsidiary and which ones are not. How do you factor in the impact of currency conversion? This is a big issue. Some currencies are ever depreciating. And therefore, when you measure them in hard currency, you find that, well, the performance is going down. So how do you bring in the impact? How do you get performance reports? Each in terms of formats, the frequency. So all the subsidiaries have to submit their reports in a particular format, that specific time. All these are performance measurement issues when we're doing with the multinationals. So this lets us as performance managers know that these may bring about some challenges. It was very difficult to understand what a virtual organization looks like and how it operates. But now we're having so many things that are virtual, including a virtual classroom. Things have really changed. So you can see, like in a virtual classroom, what is happening. We've got a number of us in different parts of the country, in different parts of Africa. We are connected by technology. A traditional organization has got a structure, isn't it? For starters, they're in a specific physical location, geographical location. We expect a building, we expect offices, we expect the office for the boss, for the one who follows all the way. We expect that every morning we'll meet the boss, we'll see him. We expect that from time to time they'll call up a meeting and you go into a meeting room. Now we are saying when you come to virtual organizations, it's a bit different. For these organizations made up of people who are in different places geographically. However, they still collaborate, work together, and deliver the results. Controlling and monitoring performance of remote workers. So how do you control these workers? Because they're not with you, they're all over. Timeliness, quantity, quality of goods or service delivered. How do you control? Mainly, we have clear service level agreements. We have clear agreements on what is expected and the constant feedback. We come to the next item, supply chain management. Supply chain management. So the concept of supply chain management looks at the supply chain as a whole and ways the organization in the supply chain collaborate to produce value to the end customer. So again, here we are saying you don't work alone anymore. We don't work alone. We belong to a supply chain. For us to deliver our objectives, we don't do it alone. We belong to a supply chain. So this, what does this mean? We have moved away from traditional arm's length supplier-purchase relationship. And what we want to do is develop a stronger relationship between organizations in the supply chain. So all the organizations in the supply chain must work together. Now, these are complex business structures because it means you need to look beyond your own organization. So what is it that helps? Well, it's a use of technology. These networks are reinforced by technology, electronic data interchange, and the ERPS systems, enterprise resource planning systems, where we even allow our suppliers access into our system so that they can see when the components will be needed, how many components will be needed, and where they'll be needed. That's an example of a collaboration. So a supplier will go and arrange all their work plan in relation to what they have seen. Now you can imagine allowing another organization to get into your system so as to save you much better. That's supply chain. So the approach of organizations fighting maybe nowadays is collaborations, working together, focusing on what you are good at. And look at motor assembly plants. In the motor assembly plant, if you assemble vehicles, you're going to deal with a lot of component manufacturers, those who do engines, those who do electronics, those who do the wheels, those who do the electricals. So all these, we are going to be part of the supply chain. I'll bring all the items together, then you can assemble, and then you take them to your distributors who can do the distributions. Okay, so the concept of business structure in terms of our exams, then we have seen examiners pick a question on one of these complex structures, asking us to explain, or on the business integration, or on BPR. Okay. Good, so that is this aspect here. Now, we are all still at work, no, we're taking some time off. No one is taking time off for the exam.
Saturday maybe it's free.
Come again?
Saturday is free from morning and Sunday.
Only? On which day?
Saturday, Sunday, free.
Saturday, Sunday only.
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday only. Okay. Saturday, Sunday only. Okay. No, that's understood. Fridays we are still. Friday we are busy on Friday. Friday afternoon we are busy. Okay. On Saturdays, what time you are free the whole day on Saturday?
Yes.
Yes.
Saturday we are free the whole day. Everybody or their son.
Yeah, I'm free the whole day.
I'm working in the morning.
We are free in the afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Okay, we'll see. Because on Saturday we're supposed to meet what time? 16,
Yes.
Saturday we're supposed to meet at 16. Okay, fine. All right, I'll send the message tomorrow then to see if we can do some work. And Friday, 23rd is all right, is it?
Yes, it's okay.
20,
When?
Yes.
Friday, 2030.
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. Now I have an idea now. Yeah. I think we have, how many have attempted the mock so far? I think I've got 3 who have attempted the mock. Yeah. That is a mock by SCCA. So please, we invite many more. I think there's somebody who has the writing tomorrow. So please, at your own times, just inbox me. We give you, you try it. Yeah. So those who.
Mr. Pete,
Yes,
Piri,
please. Yes, please.
I sent you a message and you didn't reply for today because I was free today in the afternoon.
I had also sent through a message.
That's when it right when?
I wanted to write today in the afternoon.
Is it? How come I missed that? The one I got was for somebody who says that they were busy. It was yesterday. I don't know.
I also wrote one, though I said I was indicating to write after this class.
Ah, okay, fine. No, that's okay. You can write. Oh, you want to write after, like after now?
I was hoping to do it this evening, but maybe I can push it to tomorrow.
Yes, no, that's okay. Can do it tomorrow. Can do it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
even myself. Yeah, me too. I can write in the evening tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening. Okay, fine. That's okay. All right, not a problem. All right, then.
Mr. Perry, the same mocks, there's no way you can send it in the WED format.
No, they come in PDF. Remember,
PDF.
it's where the ACC
Yeah.
ones are so protected. In fact, I need to check their guidelines on their solutions, how to share their solutions. They give guidelines. I need to check because somebody has asked for a solution. So I need to check, make sure that I'm not exposed on how to share their solutions. I just have to counter check with them.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Piri, on the mock we did as well,
Mm-hmm.
can you provide us with the solution?
Okay, that's okay. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. I'll work on that one tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because on the question that was also on the balance scorecard, we want to review that question, the balance scorecard. That is where we need the time on Friday, on Saturday, on Sunday. Okay, so those who are writing tomorrow, let me know. I think I've taken note of those writing in the evening. If there's anyone who wants to write during the day, tomorrow, Friday, on Saturday, let me know.
This same mock we're writing, I think there is need for review also. Yeah, it's a mock.
Mm-hmm. Which one? The current one?
Current one, yes.
The current one, yeah. The current one is tough. I know that is tough because that's
it's something else, sir. It needs
Yeah,
to
it
be
is.
reviewed with you.
That is why personally, but SC has directed that we must allow students to tackle that mock. Okay, so they've supplied that mock. Yeah, that is why I use past papers, because past papers, all of them have got a similar taste. But even the ones for BPP, when you do their mock, you notice that no, this is not the test of APM. That is why sometimes I put them aside.
It's quite very different. I'm glad you're complaining because it's put me off.
No, I mean the ones done by BPP, Kaplan, whatever. When you read it in the language, you tell you that no, this is not our language. All the SCCA 50-mark questions, the language is the same, if you have noticed, and you won't miss them, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, you also need to get that shock so that you see how to get around the shock.
ACC always shocks us.
Yeah. No, you shock them also this time.
Okay.
All right, so those are writing tomorrow, please just remind me so that at least we can tackle it as well. You see how much we can do in 3 hours. Yeah. Albert, I should be contacting you on Friday over your mocks. Albert, Mutinta, and somebody else have written.
Yes, sir. I need feedback.
Okay.